It started like most things do, with trust. Casual, unassuming trust. The kind that doesn't feel like a risk until it's already too late. My wife, or Rachel, asked to borrow my gold credit card one Friday afternoon. She said it was for a $10,000 online payment. Tuition, she told me, for her younger sister's last semester. I remember the way she said it, like it was no big deal, like the card was just another tool in our shared toolbox. And I didn't blink. I handed it over with a little shrug and a smile, said, "Remind me to get it back this time." Because she was always borrowing things and forgetting to return them. Hoodies, headphones, half my socks. She kissed my cheek, promised she'd bring it back tomorrow. And that was that. The thing is, there wasn't any single moment when I started to feel off about it. No dramatic lightning strike of suspicion. Just a slow itch. It started a few days later when her sister, Tina, strutted through our living room holding a brand new platinum Amex like it was a trophy. She twirled it between her fingers and flashed it at Rachel, who laughed and said, "Dang, girl. Big spender." Tina just grinned, like she'd won a contest none of us were invited to. But what really got my attention? Her brother, Kyle, pulling into our driveway an hour later on a new matte black sports bike. The kind that hums more than it roars, polished like a mirror, not a speck of dust on it. I watched from the kitchen window, coffee mug in hand. Rachel went out to meet him, gave him that casual shoulder punch sisters give when they're proud. He revved the engine twice for show, and she laughed. Something in my chest tensed. I didn't know what it was yet, just this tug. Later that evening, I asked Rachel about the card. She was on the couch, legs draped over the armrest, scrolling through her phone. I said, "Hey, by the way, can I get my gold card back?" She didn't even look up. "Oh, right. It's somewhere in my purse. I think there's, like, $10 left on it. You probably maxed it out." She said it like a joke, but her tone? Too light. Too practiced. I forced a laugh. Maxed it out? Pretty sure I had a $15,000 limit on that thing. She shrugged. "Well, it's not much use now." That night, while she was brushing her teeth, I went into the hallway closet and pulled out the small fireproof lockbox where I kept old cards, receipts, backup keys, the random things you tell yourself you'll organize but never do. I dug through envelopes until I found my bank's letter with the last 4 digits of the card. Pulled out my phone, logged in, checked the account. Balance, $9.73. I clicked Transaction History, and there it was, a flurry of purchases in the past 3 days. Designer stores, motorcycle dealership, high-end electronics, Airbnb rentals. My mouth went dry. But here's the kicker. I went to the nightstand drawer to double-check, because something didn't sit right. I kept a list of active cards, color-coded by type, use, and limit. I know, super nerdy. Old habit from my finance job. I stared at the numbers for a minute, then checked the card in my wallet. The gold one was still there. Untouched. Rachel never used it. That's when I laughed. Just once. Quietly. A short, bitter puff of disbelief. I was holding the real card. The one she claimed was maxed out. So whose card did she use? The next morning, I waited until the house was quiet. I poured myself a cup of black coffee, no sugar, no milk. Something about the bitterness felt right. Then I sat at the kitchen island, gold card in front of me, scrolling through the transactions again, trying to make sense of it. Rachel came in wearing one of my flannels, hair in a messy bun, sipping her green smoothie like it was just another Tuesday. I held up the card. "This is the one I gave you, right?" She looked at it, blinked, then gave a lazy smile. "Yeah, I guess." "You sure?" I asked, voice steady. "Because I just checked. This one still has the full limit. Untouched." Her eyes darted just for a second. "Oh, huh. Maybe I grabbed the wrong one from your wallet." I nodded slowly. "So whose did you use?" She sipped her smoothie again. "Does it matter?" "It's fine." And that's when I knew. I didn't have proof yet, but I knew. It wasn't my card. It wasn't an accident. It was orchestrated. She didn't want me to ask for it back because it didn't exist in my name. I went digging that afternoon. Turns out, 6 months ago, Rachel opened a joint account under both our names without telling me. Something about building family credit, she later said. The card attached to that account? A brand new, gold-tier card with my name on it. Just mine. But I never authorized it. Never signed a thing. She forged my signature. And she'd been using it. But it wasn't just her. Tina's new wardrobe, Kyle's sports bike, random hotel stays, they were all tied to that one card. I sat at my desk, stared at the receipts, and felt something crack. Not anger. Not even heartbreak. Just a clean, cold detachment. I wasn't shocked they used me. I was shocked at how unbothered they were about it. Like it was their birthright. Like I was the dumb brother-in-law with the deep pockets and the shallow spine. And maybe that's how they saw me. The guy who never says no. The guy who covers dinner. The guy who doesn't argue, doesn't question, doesn't walk away. They laughed when I asked for the card back. But they'd been laughing long before that. I confronted her that night. She came home from her yoga class in full makeup and heels. Set her keys down, kicked off her shoes. She was halfway to the bedroom when I said, "We need to talk." She turned, gave me that bored half smile. "What now?" "I know about the other card." She tilted her head. "What other card?" "The one you opened in my name." Silence. "I know you forged my signature. I know Tina and Kyle used it. I know you spent over 10 grand in 3 days." Her lips parted slightly. Then, slowly, she laughed. "You're just mad because we didn't include you." That hit harder than I expected. Not the words, but the ease with which she said them. Like betrayal was just poor party planning. I said nothing. Just stared. She leaned against the counter, crossed her arms. "You've always been boring, you know that? Responsible. Predictable. Good little spreadsheet husband." I finally spoke. "And yet you stayed married to me." She smiled, cruel and calm. "You were useful." There it was. The truth. Not hidden, not veiled, just laid out like a bill at the end of dinner. Useful. That night, I packed a duffel bag. Just essentials, a few clothes, laptop, cash, the actual gold card. I left the forged one on the kitchen counter with a bright pink post. It stuck to it. Wrong card, wrong man. She found it the next morning. I know because she called twice, then texted. "Where the hell are you? What are you doing?" I didn't respond. Instead, I went to the bank, closed the forged account, reported the fraud, and launched a formal investigation. She'd face charges if she pushed too hard. And she knew it. The text stopped 2 days later. But I wasn't done. Because this story's only halfway over. Leaving wasn't the hardest part. Staying gone, that was where it tested me. There's a strange silence that settles in when you walk away from a life you built. A silence that doesn't beg you to come back, but dares you to move forward. I didn't know where I was heading exactly. Just that it had to be somewhere Rachel and her crew couldn't follow. I booked a small Airbnb in the hills for a month. Off the grid. No Wi-Fi. No smart TV. Just a bed, a kettle, and the kind of quiet that makes you sit in your own skin until you either run screaming or get real with yourself. The first few nights, I couldn't sleep. Not from fear or regret, just the unfamiliar stillness. No Tina's kids screeching in the background. No Kyle's motorcycle revving at 11 p.m. No Rachel blaming her bad mood on my energy. Just crickets. And my own breathing. And that was the first time I realized how long it had been since I'd heard myself breathe. Day 6. The bank called. The fraud investigation was underway. They confirmed the account wasn't opened through their official channels. Rachel had gone in person, used fake documents, and signed a shaky version of my signature on a grainy form. They asked if I wanted to press charges. I paused, not because I didn't want to, but because there was something poetic about not needing to. "No," I told them. "Just make sure it's closed and flagged." I didn't want to fight her. I wanted to erase her. And I don't mean that in the dramatic, vengeful way. I mean it in the deep, cellular way. The kind of erasure you feel when you scrub someone from your passwords, your playlists, your emergency contacts. I wasn't looking for justice. I was building peace. Week 2. The messages started again. Not from Rachel, but from Tina. First a DM on a burner Instagram I hadn't used in months. "Hey, you think you could unlock the card for one last charge?" We kinda hit a snag. A snag. Like $12,000 of unauthorized purchases was a pothole, not a full-on wreck. I didn't reply. The next day, a text from Kyle. "Man to man. I didn't know she was using your info like that. But you know how Ratch is. She just wants to help family." Family. That word burned more than I expected. Because I'd believed that once. That Rachel's chaos was a symptom of love. That all her bending of the rules came from wanting to keep her siblings afloat. But love doesn't drain someone else's life to fill your own. Week 3. Rachel finally broke radio silence. Her message was longer. No smirking emojis. No digs. Just, "I know I screwed up. I thought you'd just brush it off like you always do. But I guess I finally found your line. I'm sorry. If you want the card paid off, I'll figure it out." I didn't mean for it to go this far. I stared at that message for a long time. It was the first time she didn't call me boring. The first time she didn't dismiss me like a bank account with legs. But I didn't reply. Because by then, I'd realized something. She never wanted me. She wanted the version of me who wouldn't say no. The guy who handed over his card and trusted her not to sink the ship. And the minute I stopped playing that role, I was no longer necessary. Week 4. I'd started doing freelance IT work from the cabin. Nothing glamorous. Just firewall audits, local server setups for businesses too small for a dedicated tech team. I made enough to pay my bills, keep my hands busy, and remind myself I still had worth that didn't depend on being someone's backup plan. And then something funny happened. One of those gigs turned into a full-time offer. Small cybersecurity firm out of Denver. Remote first. Competitive pay. Health insurance. I said yes. Because why not? Because it felt like saying yes to myself, finally. 2 months in, I moved into a small apartment downtown. Industrial beams. Concrete floors. One plant I named Gary, because it looked like a Gary. I bought a proper espresso machine. Started running again. Shaved my beard. Even joined a co-working space, not because I needed to, but because I missed people who said good morning without asking for money. Rachel called once more. Blocked number. I didn't answer. Let it go to voicemail. She didn't cry this time. Her voice was calm. Worn out. I don't expect you to forgive me, she said. I just hope someday you'll think of the good parts. Not just the ending. I played it twice. Then deleted it. Because I didn't want to remember the good parts. Not anymore. 6 months after I left, I bumped into an old friend, Jason, at a hardware store. He'd been one of my groomsmen. We hadn't spoken since the wedding. He did a double take. Dude, you look different. Healthier. I offered. He laughed. That's one word for it. We got lunch. Talked about old times. He'd heard rumors, whispers of Rachel's shopping spree, Kyle's bike, Tina's meltdown when the card got declined at a beach resort. Thought about reaching out, he said. But figured you needed space. He was right. Funny how the right people get it without needing explanations. The truth is, I don't hate Rachel. I don't wake up plotting revenge. I don't stalk her socials or wonder if she's happy. I'm not interested in watching her fall apart or waiting for karma to do its thing. I just don't care. And that's the victory. Because indifference is heavier than anger. It means the wound isn't just closed, it's scarred over and weatherproof. I used to think love was measured by how much you could forgive. But now I think it's measured by how much you demand of yourself before you give it away. Rachel used someone else's card. But she lost the man who never would have done that to her. And that's the real punchline. I wasn't laughing because it was funny. I was laughing because I finally saw the joke for what it was, and I wasn't the punchline anymore. So now, every time I open my wallet and see that gold card, I don't think of her. I think of me. Of the guy who finally chose himself. And that's worth more than $10,000 any day.